Volume 1, Chapter 1, Hadith 288, narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Umar bin al-Khattab told Allah's Apostle, I became Janub at night. Allah's Apostle replied, perform ablution after washing your private parts, and then sleep. Hadith 289, narrated Hisham, is more or less as the following. 1 in 290. Mohadun is heretical. Of course, heretical means forming your own opinions in its root. But you know what people generally mean by that? Someone who is strayed in their opinions. Muqayyar is a type of pot that people used to perform, to prepare alcoholic beverages in. Obviously, some of these things aren't allowed. Musalla is a praying place. Mushrikun is the people who make partners with God. They think God's more than one, or they ascribe limits to God, or, they treat creation as its God, various things. And this is the case whether they call it that. Oh, we don't call them gods. It's like, yeah, you pray to them. So, Mustahada is a woman who has bleeding in between her periods. Mut'ah is a temporary marriage, and there's certain Quranic things that have abrogated that. And it's also a phrase that means that the marriage was temporary. And so Islam allows a divorce. Mutafahish is a person who shares evil speech. Mutakif is a person who is in the retreat at a masjid. Mutashbahat are verses that aren't clear to everybody, and they can be difficult to understand. There's issues with translating it that way, but, because everything in the Quran, if you know the language, you can, it's understandable. It's not instantly applicable, and there's certainly stuff that has more meaning to it, different meanings, not contradictory, but different meanings. Mitras is don't be afraid. Muttaqun are the pious. Muzabana is selling fresh dates for dry dates. Muzafat is a pot or alcohol beverages were prepared. Muzdalifah is a place between Arafat and Medina where the pilgrims stay, and between the 9th and the 10th. Well, actually, they would stay on the 10th. So, yeah. And Nabiv is water in which fruit is soaked, but the fruit isn't fermented. Also, rehydrated. Nadeha is a camel for agriculture. A nade is part of an arrow. A nafar is the days after the 10th. Usually talked about as the 12th and the 13th, where the pilgrims leave after doing all the ceremonies. Now, some people like to stay clear through the holidays, so when the 13th ends, they leave. And Nahad is sharing of expenses of a journey, or perhaps pooling them in equal shares and bartering somehow. You know what I mean? There's a journey and there's a shared expense or shared resources to do the journey.